I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. But today we are not talking about money. We are talking about something way deeper, way messier, and honestly something that cost me just as much as any bad financial decision ever did. We are talking about manipulation. And I know that word sounds heavy, but stick with me because I think everyone needs to hear this. I grew up thinking manipulation was this obvious thing you see in movies, the villain twirling their mustache and being evil. But real life is not like that. Real manipulation is quiet. It hides inside love, it hides inside concern. It hides inside loyalty and family and friendship, and it does not announce itself. It creeps in so slowly that by the time you realize something is off, you are already questioning yourself. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today. I have been through enough of these patterns to recognize them now, and I want to share what I have learned not from a textbook, but from real life. From my own mistakes and my own healing. Let us start with the big one, gaslighting. Everyone has heard the word gaslighting, but not everyone actually understands what it looks like in real life. I remember a situation from a few years back. I had a friend who I thought was really close. We hung out all the time, we told each other everything, but something started feeling off. I would bring up a conversation we had, and he would look at me with this blank face and say that never happened. At first I thought maybe I was misremembering, maybe I was mixing up details, so I let it slide. Then it happened again, and every time I tried to talk about how something made me feel, he would tell me I was being too sensitive. He would say I was reading into things, and the craziest part was I started believing him. I stopped trusting my own memory. I started second-guessing everything. Did that really happen, or did I imagine it? Am I overreacting? Maybe I am the problem that is gaslighting. It does not always look dramatic. It is not someone yelling at you or screaming in your face. It is quiet, it is subtle, it is someone gently rewriting the story over and over until you start to wonder if you are the one who is crazy. You remember something clearly and they tell you it never happened. You try to explain how something made you feel, and they say you are being dramatic. They do not do it to disagree with you. They do it to make you question what is real. And over time, you start to believe them more than you believe yourself. That is what makes gaslighting so powerful. It does not come at you all at once. It is slow. One small moment at a time, one conversation, one look, one denial. And eventually you start second-guessing everything: your memory, your emotions, your gut. So what do you do about it? I learned the hard way. I started writing things down. I would keep a note on my phone with dates and times and what was said, not because I wanted to prove anything to anyone, but because I needed to prove it to myself. I needed to see the pattern. Because when someone is gaslighting you, they are counting on you, not keeping track. They are counting on the confusion, so you get clear. You trust how something made you feel, even if someone else tries to spin it. You do not need permission to believe your own experience. The more clearly you see what is happening, the harder it is for anyone to twist it. And once you stop explaining yourself to someone who is pretending not to understand, that is when you take your power back. Let us talk about love bombing. This one hit me hard because it feels so good at first. I met someone a while back, and from the very first week, I was swept off my feet. She texted me constantly. She told me I was perfect. She said things like, "I have never met anyone like you, and I feel like we are meant to be together." This was after like 2 dates. It felt incredible. Who does not want to be adored like that? But looking back, I can see it was intensity, not intimacy. Love bombing is not about love. It is about creating a hook. The person showers you with attention and affection and grand gestures so fast that you do not have time to think. You do not have time to ask questions. You are just along for the ride, and then something shifts. They pull back. They go cold. You start wondering what you did wrong. You start trying to win back that version of them that was so perfect in the beginning. But here's the thing: that version was never real. It was bait. Love bombing is a strategy. It is about getting you emotionally invested so fast that by the time they start showing their true colors, you are already hooked. You are already trying to get back to that high. And that is how emotional control gets disguised as romance. So how do you protect yourself? You slow down, you ask questions, you look at their patterns, not their promises. Real connection takes time. It grows quietly. It does not rush. If someone tries to build something serious before trust even has time to form, it is not love. It is a performance, and you do not owe anyone an encore. Next up is guilt tripping. Oh man, this one hits close to home. I grew up in a household where guilt was just part of the language, not in a mean way necessarily, but it was always there. You know, those moments when someone does not say what they mean, but they make sure you feel it: a sigh, a pause, a quiet little comment like, "Well, after everything I have done for you." They do not come right out and accuse you, but suddenly you feel like you have let them down. Like saying no makes you selfish or ungrateful. That is guilt tripping. It is not about what you actually did. It is about making you feel like you failed in some invisible way. Even if you were just setting a boundary, even if you were doing what was right for you, it turns care into currency, and your kindness becomes a debt you are always trying to repay. I remember a time when I told a family member I could not help them with something because I had my own stuff going on, and the response was not anger, it was silence. And then a sad little "okay, I guess I will figure it out myself," and I felt terrible. I spent the whole rest of the day feeling guilty. I almost canceled my plans to go help them, but I stopped myself and I asked a simple question: Did I actually do something wrong, or am I just being made to feel like I did? Real guilt comes from your own values. Manipulated guilt is someone else's control tactic. You are allowed to hold your boundary even if someone tries to punish you for it. Triangulation, this one is sneaky because you do not always see it happening. Triangulation is when someone pulls a third person into a conflict instead of talking to you directly. It creates a triangle. So instead of having a conversation with you, they go talk to someone else about you, and then you start hearing things like, well, Sarah agrees with me, or everyone thinks you are overreacting. That is not communication. That is strategy. I saw this happen at a job I had a few years ago. My manager had an issue with something I did, but instead of talking to me about it, she went and complained to my coworker. And then my coworker came to me with this weird, sympathetic look like, hey, I heard you are in trouble. And suddenly I was not just dealing with my manager, I was dealing with the whole office narrative triangulation. Creates a dynamic where you are outnumbered. You feel like you are up against a team, and your voice starts to feel smaller. You start wondering if you are the one who is being difficult or dramatic. But here's the truth. If someone has a problem with you, they should talk to you. Not about you. So how do you stop it? You pull the triangle apart. You say, if you have a problem with me, talk to me, not about me. Keep it direct. Keep it simple. You do not need to defend yourself to a third party you never even spoke to. And if someone refuses to meet you there, you are allowed to step out of the triangle completely. Let me tell you about the white knight. This one is tricky because on the surface it looks like help. Someone shows up with solutions you did not ask for. They offer to fix your problems. They tell you they have got your back. At first it feels amazing, like someone finally understands what you are going through. But if you pay close attention, you will notice a pattern. They seem to show up right when things fall apart, but sometimes things fall apart because of them. They stir up conflict behind the scenes, they chip away at your confidence, then they comfort you when you start to fall apart. They build the fire and then show up with the hose. I had a guy in my life years ago who always seemed to have advice for me. He would tell me that other people were talking behind my back. He would say, watch out for so-and-so, they are not your friend. He made me feel like I needed him to navigate my own relationships. And at the time I thought he was looking out for me, but looking back I can see he was creating the chaos so he could be the hero. The white knight needs you to stay broken, because if you did not need saving, they would not have a role to play. Their support comes with strings. It is not about you getting stronger, it is about you staying dependent. So how do you deal with it? Start noticing the pattern. Do they step up when things fall apart, or do they quietly push things toward falling apart so they can step in? Real support helps you rise. A white knight needs you on your knees. Take the help if it is genuine, but do not give up your power in the process. You do not need to be rescued, you just need room to stand on your own. The silent treatment, silence can be peaceful, it can be calming and respectful, and sometimes needed. But the silent treatment is something different. It is not a pause, it is a punishment. It is when someone uses absence to control you. They do not yell, they do not explain, they just go quiet and cold and distant, and they stay that way until you give in. I have been on both sides of this, and I am not proud of it. I used to give the silent treatment when I was younger because I did not know how to handle conflict. I thought I was protecting myself, but really I was punishing the other person. And I have also been on the receiving end, and let me tell you, it is brutal. You find yourself replaying everything you said, wondering what you did wrong. You feel pressured to fix it, even though you are not sure what it is. And that uncertainty is what makes it work, because when someone refuses to communicate, you are left guessing, and eventually you stop focusing on your own needs and start focusing entirely on how to get them to engage again. You apologize just to end the silence, you bend, you soften, you tiptoe not because it is your fault, but because the quiet is unbearable. But here is what I learned. Communication is a two-way street. If someone refuses to speak unless they are being agreed with, they are not looking for connection, they are looking for control. So, name what is happening. Say, if you are upset, I am open to talking, but I will not be punished with silence, and then hold your ground breadcrumbing. This one is emotional clickbait. Someone gives you just enough attention to keep you hooked, but never enough to actually move forward. A text every few days, a like on your post, a random compliment out of nowhere, just enough to remind you they exist. But when it comes to making plans or showing up or committing to anything real, it is always vague. Always later, always just out of reach. I went through this with someone I was dating, and it drove me crazy. I would get a text late at night and think, oh, maybe this time they want to see me, and then nothing. Days would go by, and I would be checking my phone wondering if I said something wrong. But I did not say anything wrong, that was the point. The goal of breadcrumbing is not connection, it is control. It keeps you emotionally invested while they stay unaccountable. You get stuck in a loop of anticipation and let down, and it is hard to walk away because they never really end it either. They do not reject you, they just stall you, and that uncertainty keeps you hoping. But here's the truth. If someone's interest only shows up in flashes, if they always leave you, guessing you do not need to decode it, you just need to decide it is not enough. Consistency speaks louder than charm, and you deserve more than crumbs. The DARVO method, this one is wild. DARVO stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse, Victim, and Offender. It is a psychological sleight of hand. You bring up something that hurts you calmly and respectfully, just trying to have a conversation. Step 1, they deny it, that never happened, you are making things up. Step 2, they attack you, they go after your tone or your timing or your past. Suddenly, it is not about what they did, it is about how you brought it up. And then step 3, they flip it. They make themselves the victim. You are not the one who got hurt. They are being attacked. They act like your honesty is cruelty, and now you are the one who has to apologize. I have had this happen in a friendship. I tried to tell a friend that something he said hurt my feelings, and by the end of the conversation, I was apologizing to him for making him feel bad. I walked away feeling confused and ashamed, and it took me days to realize what happened. He turned the whole thing around. DARVO works because it causes confusion. It turns any conversation about harm into a performance, and if you are on the receiving end, you end up defending your tone instead of your truth. So how do you deal with it? Do not take the bait. If the conversation suddenly becomes all about their pain and their suffering, pause and return to your point. Stick to the facts. Say, I am willing to talk about this, but not if the original issue keeps getting buried. Accountability is not an attack, and truth is not cruelty. So here's my takeaway from all of this. I am not an expert. I am just a regular guy who has been through enough to recognize these patterns. And the biggest lesson I have learned is that your instincts are not the enemy. That gut feeling you get when something feels off, that is not paranoia. That is protection. We are taught to be polite and to give people the benefit of the doubt and to not cause trouble. And those are good things in the right context, but not when it costs you your peace, not when it costs you your sense of reality. You get to trust yourself. You get to set boundaries. You get to walk away from anyone who makes you feel smaller just by being around them. And you do not owe anyone an explanation for protecting your own mind. If you are in a situation right now where you are questioning yourself, stop and ask, is this really about me, or is someone trying to make me doubt what I know to be true? Write it down, talk to someone you trust, and remember, you are not crazy and you are not alone. A lot of people have been through this and come out the other side, and you will too. Peace.